Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greetings of peace to all my family and friends. I'm your host, Sammy Hegab, and now I'm going to start uploading videos on my old channel, which has been restricted for a very long time. Unfortunately, my main channel, Yemen Foundation, has been shut down by YouTube for absolutely no reason at all. They didn't flag any videos, they didn't give me any warnings, they just shut down the channel and deleted the channel completely. So I'm going to start using this channel again, inshallah, and I'll be sharing some of our activities as well as my reactions on some of the most recent events that's going on in the world today. Today, what I want to do is I want to do a reaction on a brother that I highly respect. I don't know him personally, but I am aware that he was one of the thousands that went to Egypt recently to march to Gaza. And I have my own personal experience in marching to Gaza myself, because I actually went to Egypt with the intention of going to Gaza at the very start of the genocide. At one time, I went for 3 months, and another time I went for a couple of months, and then it's like that. So it wasn't like all in one go. It was 3 months, breaks and in between. But unfortunately, I couldn't make it in my first trip into Gaza or Sinai. I was prevented. But at the time when I was going to Egypt, I didn't really expect that kind of resistance from a country that claims to be a Muslim country, a neighbor, and a friend of Palestine. I found it was the quite opposite, and I found also that Egypt was under its own occupation, which I'll go more into detail in future videos, or perhaps I'll mention some of the points in this video as well. However, I did manage in this year 2025 to go into Arish. Again, it was disappointing for me, because once I arrived with the national security known as Amn al-Dawla, it was really to orchestrate or stage a protest or demonstration in support of the current leader, who's the dictator, pro-Zionist, but it was just really to polish his image in front of President Macron at the time. And I found it was absolute nonsense, because they were bribing people to come on that trip, and they were hiring actors. It was all staged and orchestrated, just to film that people are, or to create this public opinion that the public is behind the dictator Sisi, and to show the support, and whatever he's doing, they believe in whatever his decision he's making, which is further from the truth. Obviously, this was all orchestrated, but I went along and played the role. They told us exactly what to say, where to stand, and how to act, and all that stuff. And they organized the lines and the protests and so on, just to make it look polished on camera. And it was like basically starring in a movie, playing a role in a film. So it was all orchestrated. So yes, I will go into that as well, and I'll share that experience with you. And then once they found out that I'm dual national, British and also Egyptian, I started getting threats, intimidation. I was getting threatening phone calls, attempted kidnapping, and all sorts of stuff, intimidations, just to provoke me and push me either out of the country or get me arrested in some way. They claimed that I broke the law by being pro-Palestinian, by providing humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Egypt. I was intimidated in so many different ways. So I've gone through all this kind of stuff that I'm expecting when I share with the people that have actually gone on this march to Gaza recently. I feel that we have something in common now, because I've gone through this, but I was an individual, and they were in a group, and obviously as a group they can easily be targeted, where as an individual I can easily evade detections. I have abilities to navigate the terrain in Egypt, and I was able to just find my way out and negotiate my way out of Egypt safely, without putting myself in more danger. And I continue my activism outside of Egypt, of course, continue supporting the people that I can support while I'm outside of Egypt. But yeah, there is a lot of things that can be done, and we continuously need to keep pushing for supporting and lobbying the government and my local MPs and so on, just to push for that support in the right direction. Of course, in Egypt, it's impossible. It's just completely impossible to lobby anyone in the government, because the government itself is owned and controlled by the Zionist entity. You have a pro-Zionist, extreme, far-right, pro-Zionist president who actually serves the Zionist interests, not out of compulsion, but rather it's out of love. Anything that you see on TV is not the reality of things, because the reality happens and what they agree on behind closed doors is completely different to what you see on TV or the mainstream media. So you have to understand this. And there's only one way. If you don't believe me, I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there, including family members of mine, that don't believe what I'm actually sharing right now. And I can just tell you a simple test for you to do. I mean, if you don't believe what I'm telling you right now, just try a simple experiment. Go outside in Egypt with a small Palestinian flag. Just walk for a few minutes and see what happens to you. You go out with a Palestinian flag, you chant for free Palestine in Egypt, and you will be arrested. And you'll be very lucky if you get released, even after a few days. That's if you don't get tortured and if you don't get detained forever, for eternity. So chanting free Palestine or holding a Palestinian flag. That goes for the Egyptians, pure Egyptians. Of course, if you're a dual national or you're a foreigner, you'll get mistreated. At the worst, they'll detain you for a while, but they'll deport you to your main country. Okay, so that's the reality. I myself, I had someone approach me on my first visit to Egypt, and basically that individual told me that I get the privilege to get one warning because I'm a dual national, because I'm British. Therefore, I only get entitlement to get one warning, and after that, um, I won't get any more warnings. So effectively, what I should be doing is just enjoying my holiday, visit family in Egypt, and leave the country as soon as possible. That's what I was told, point blank in my face. That's what he told me, and he said to me, "I'm only privileged to get one warning. After that, you know, you've crossed the line, basically. If you continue supporting Palestinians, continue aiding the Palestinians, or communicating with Palestinians in Egypt in any way, don't expect the worst, basically. So, and they have the ability to make me disappear. So, I've had some threats, being thrown at me. Um, so yeah, I'm quite used to that now, as expected from such a criminal um, government. Of course, biggest traitors, and of course Jordan, the two biggest enemies of Allah, not the countries, just to make it clear. So no Egyptian or Jordanian get us offended. I'm not talking about the general public here. I know the general public, including myself, we love Palestine. We love our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. We love others in humanity. We always do our best to serve others, for service to many leads to greatness. So we understand this. But I'm talking here about the people that control the populace of the country. I'm talking about the Egyptian government. I'm talking about the biggest traitors, the biggest enemies of Allah. The vast majority of people that I've met in my life so far that support, the Sisi guy, are mostly uneducated. There's nothing wrong with people being poor, but I'm talking about poor in the mind, mentally poor. They're mentally disturbed. Or you guys know a lot now, especially the ones that have gone on this march. They've probably experienced far more even than me. They've seen far worse than me now, collectively. And I'm sure, if you guys listen to their experience, you will understand exactly what's going on in that country. So for sure, I can tell you as an Egyptian, as someone who loves the Palestinians, who loves Egypt, who loves humanity, who calls for peace and love, and I believe strongly that we all descended from Adam, so we're all brothers and sisters, irrespective of our race, irrespective of our creed even. We're all human beings. We're all brothers and sisters in humanity. And because of that, Egypt doesn't like that, because Egypt likes to divide and conquer, just like the Zionists. You are Egyptian, you are British, you are this, you are black, you are white. They like that. They're exactly the same as all these far rights, uh, parties that try to blame everything on the immigrants, blame everything on the foreigners. Egypt is exactly the same. Don't believe the nonsense you hear on the mainstream media about Egypt is open arms and welcomes everyone. No, they don't. Yes, if you are European or Ukrainian or you're a Zionist and you arrive in Egypt and you want to do business or you want to live in Egypt or settle in Egypt, they'll welcome you with open arms. But if you're a Palestinian, they treat you as subhuman. I've seen it for myself. They steal the aid. They prevent people that want to provide aid. The only way you can get aid in is you have to bribe someone. You have to give a share of it to the people that hold the security around the Palestinian residencies and so on. You have to bribe the security around the hospitals. And even when you bribe them, they're breaking the law, by the way, because they've received orders that no one should visit the Palestinians. So that's how it works in Egypt. They are anti-Palestinian. They are pro-Zionist. And the general public are not aware of this at all. They're not aware that Egypt is under the control, total control of the Zionists. The whole Greater Israel thing is already started, it's already done. Egypt was already part of that project, but without any resistance, because everybody is just so busy and so stressed out with the hyperinflation. They're so concerned about petty things like football matches, about the weather, about celebrities. They're distracted away, so they're not aware of what's really going on behind their back, the deals that's going on. They don't understand that Egypt is being sold, given, in fact, not even sold. I want you to watch this video, and then I'll try to make comments about it as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the video on full screen so you can get a proper view of the video. It's going to be in Arabic. Like I said, I'll put English subtitles on it so you can also enjoy it. And I love this brother so much, and I wish one day I'll meet him. I wish we could meet somewhere, even in the US or even in the UK. If he comes to the UK, I would host him. Yeah, and I love anyone that stands for Palestinians, anyone that speaks from the heart, anyone that sacrificed their time and their money to help others, other human beings. So that's the sort of people that I highly respect. And in my eyes, this guy is a hero. This man, even if he didn't manage to enter Egypt, you know, he is a hero. He's already achieved so much. And all the people, all the brothers and sisters, Muslim and non-Muslims, that went on this journey to stand up for the Palestinians, they are heroes in my eyes. And I take off my hat for them. And I highly respect them. And they've broken the silence, because now Egypt is exposed. Egypt's such a beautiful place, but it's the government that completely ruined it. They could have seized this amazing opportunity to promote Egypt in a good light. They could have even put on an act that Egypt is pro-Palestinian. They didn't have to be so foolish to mistreat those activists, those heroes, in such a way. And now, you know, it's just the whole thing is exposed. Now everyone knows that Egypt is, and the government of Egypt are pro-Zionist and anti-Palestinian. It's now open. It's like, you know, it's common knowledge now. That's the fact. So I want you to watch this guy, this brother, and to pray for him. And inshallah, next time we won't be going in thousands, we'll go in the millions. In the millions we're going to come this time. And we get a breakthrough. And Allah's on our side. So watch this video, and I'll get back to you afterwards and make some comments, inshallah.
السلام عليكم يا اخوان، معكم اخوكم عمر المنتصر. انا الان متواجد في مطار JFK نيويورك بعد ترحيلنا من مصر. طبعا يا اخوان انا بشرح لكم من البدايه الى النهايه. الان احنا حجزنا نشارك في المسيره المباركه بمحاوله فك الحصار وكسر الحصار على اخواننا في غزه وادخال المساعدات والمواد الغذائيه والعلاجات. وحجزت التذكره في يوم 11 من هذا التاريخ الى مصر للمشاركه في هذه المسيره. وسافرنا من مطار نيويورك JFK الى مصر. اول ما وصلنا مصر كان في شله من الشباب مشاركين في المسيره هذه على متن الطائره معي، ولكن ما كنت اعرفهم، فتعرفت عليهم بعد ما مسكنا. فاول ما وصلنا مصر خرجنا، ختموا لنا الجوازات وعلى طول وقفوني على جنب، والثاني على طول وقفوا على جنب. طبعا الذين مسكوا معي 8 وانا التاسع، بس الذي كانوا على متن الطائره مشاركين في هذه المسيره اكثر من 9، اعتقد كانوا حوالي 20 شخص. المهم مسكوا مننا 9 ودخلونا غرفه، بدأوا يسألونا إلى أين ذاهبين وهل بنشارك في المسيرة المهم إحنا أنكرنا هذا الشيء وقلنا ما نعرف أي شيء عن المسيرة، وإحنا جايين هنا سياحة. المهم هم ركزوا على الأيام التي كنا مسافرين فيها، الذي من يوم 11 إلى يوم 20. الأيام هذه من يوم 11 إلى يوم 25 أي شخص مسافر ذهاب وإياب في هذا التاريخ يعني مشبوه، يمسكوه على طول. المهم مسكونا، حاولوا يفتشوا جوالاتنا، معظمهم سلم تلفونه. أنا رفضت أن أنا أسلم التلفون، قلت لهم أنا أكسر التلفون ولا أسلم لكم. فقالوا خلاص خلي التلفون في الشنطة، واخذوا الشنطة وحطوها يعني جنبي في مكان اشوفها بس ما المسها. قلت تمام، انا فكرت انه فقط احنا الذي مسكنا، يعني كان مننا 9 اشخاص، فكرت انه احنا الذي مسكنا فقط. المهم اخذونا، اخذوا جوازاتنا واخذوا الهواتف. انا رفضت ان انا اعطيهم هاتفي، فخلوه في الشنطة ومنعوني ان انا امسك الشنطة، بس اخذوا هواتف الامريكيين واخذوا الجوازات والشنط تبعنا. المهم دخلونا الغرفة هذه واحنا فكرنا انه احنا الوحيدين الذي مسكهم. فبعد ما خلصنا الاجراءات هذه كلها اخذونا ودخلونا على الزنزانة. طبعا اول ما فتحنا الزنزانه اكبر مفاجاه، يمكن 150 او 200 شخص داخل الزنزانه هذه. فاول ما فتحوا الزنزانه الكل صيح فري بالستين فري بالستين والله يعني كان اجواء حلوه داخل الزنزانه. المهم يا اخوان، فلما دخلت المفاجاه الكبرى انه يعني من جميع دول العالم، من اكثر من 35 دوله، هذا فرنسي، هذا الماني، هذا يوناني، هذا ايطالي، هذا بلجيكي، هذا من امريكا، هذا من اوروبا، من بريطانيا، هذا من الجزائر، هذا من المغرب، هذا من ليبيا، يعني من جميع دول العالم، من جميع دول، من سويسرا، من السويد. وطبعا كان 6 زنزانات، وكل زنزانه فيها يعني ما يقارب 100 ل 150 شخص، والست زنزانات ملان محتجزين. فالزنزانه ما هي كبيره، يعني الزنزانه صغيره ومتنافسين، يعني تخيل 150 شخص في زنزانه صغيره. فالمهم دخلنا الزنزانه هذه وبدا هنا الحجز، يعني احتجزونا لمده 30 ساعه. تخيلوا محتجزين لمده 30 ساعه في هذه الزنزانه. المهم حاولنا بالبدايه ان احنا نخرج، يعني كنا نضغط على الضباط، كنا نضغط على العسكر والجنود، كان الامن القومي والجيش كله متواجد في المطار، في مطار مصر. طبعا احنا الان في مطار، انا الان في مطار جي اف كي، يعني تم ترحيلي الان، وصلت مطار جي اف كي والان الطياره الثانيه بتاخذني للبيت. المهم نواصل يا اخوان. يعني كنا كل شويه وندق الزنزانه ونضرب، يعني ندق على الباب وده يقولنا الضباط وين جوازاتنا، وين اغراضنا، وين تلفوناتنا، وين حاجاتنا. يقول لك انتظروا، هل بنخرج مصر؟ يقول لك لا يتم ترحيلكم. طيب ليش يعني محتجزين الى هذه الساعه؟ يعني الان صار لنا 3 ساعات في الزنزانه. طبعا هم ايش سووا؟ اجاؤوا اخذوا واحد من الذي جاء من امريكا، واخذوا واحد من الذي جاء من بريطانيا، واخذوا واحد من الذي جاء من فرنسا، وواحد من الذي جاء من بلجيكا، واحد من الذي جاء من ايطاليا، واحد من الذي جاء من يعني اخذوا من كل الدول واحد. قالوا خلاص انتم تمام، انتم تقدروا ترحلوا، يعني تقدروا تخرجوا مصر، يعني مو ترحيل، تقدروا تخرجوا مصر. فاحنا هنا فرحنا، قلنا يعني في امل نحن نخرج مصر ونشارك في المسيره هذه. طبعا هم لحد الان كلنا ناكرين نحن مشاركين المسيره، كلنا جايين سياحه وعلى نفس التاريخ. فالمهم اخذوهم وخرجوهم على مطار مصر، يعني خرجوهم على القاهره. هنا بدا لعبه الامن العام هذول الضباط قاموا بمراقبتهم. فاول ما وصلوا يا اخوان للمطار، اول ما خرجوهم للمطار بداوا مراقبتهم. اول ما وصلوا للفنادق على طول دخلوا وسحبوا كل من في الفنادق، تخيلوا، ورجعوهم. يعني هم اخذوهم ورجعوهم بعد يمكن 2 أو 3 ساعات. تخيل احنا كده في الزنزانه، فجاه يفتحوا الزنزانات، سلسله الزنزانات كلها، يدخلوا الذي كانوا معانا، الذي خرجوهم يمكن حوالي 50 و60 نفر بعدهم. ايش الذي حصل معاكم؟ طلعوا والله مراقبين الامن العام، وخلوهم لما راحوا الفنادق وعرفوا اي فنادق جالسين، لانه لكل دوله مثلا جالسين فندق ثاني، اخذوا الذي في الفنادق الامن العام. فالمهم رجعوهم للزنزانه. هنا عرفنا انه في لعب وفي خيانات. قلنا تمام ما في. قعدت 6 ساعات، تخيلوا يا اخوان 6 ساعات واحنا الى الان الزنزانات كلها متراكمه، والزنزانات كلها مليان فل، ما قد تم اخراج اي واحد او ترحيل اي شخص. فبدات الضجه هنا معانا، يعني بدانا الان نصيح، يعني ايش الذي يعني ايش بدكم الان؟ يعني هل بترحلونا؟ هل بتخرجونا؟ بداوا الضباط يدخلوا. طبعا يا اخوان كان في كثير من الاوروبيين يعني الاوروبيين الجنسيه الاصل، مش المتجنسين مثلا عربي متجنس، يعني مثلا انا يمني جنسيتي امريكيه، لا يعني اوروبيين اصل وامريكيين اصل، ما عمرهم يعني حصلت معهم هذه الاشياء. واحنا كلنا نعرف يعني تعامل العرب بالذات في المطار في مصر، يعني معاملتهم الزفت، معاملتهم زي الزفت، يعني مش عارف ليش بس هذه معاملتهم. المهم يا اخوان فبداوا الضباط يدخلوا ويصيحوا ويرفعوا اصواتهم. مثلا قامت واحده بنت من المانيا، يعني من جنسيه المانيه وهي بالاصل المانيه، بدات تبكي وتنهار وتقول ليش محتجزين هنا؟ انا ايش سويت؟ انا بس حبيت اوقف مع الفلسطينيين والاباده الذي جالسه تحصل في الفلسطينيين وانتم تمنعونه، وده بدات تبكي وتنهار. فايش قاموا الناجسين هذول يسوون؟ قام يعيط عليها، يعني بدل ما يهدوها، بدل ما قاموا يعيطوا عليها ويصيحوا اجلسي انت، اجلسي لا تتكلمي. فهنا يا اخوان احنا قمنا، طبعا انا و3 مغربيين وواحد جزائري، ولما قمنا احنا بعض الشباب قاموا، قلنا لهم ليش معيطين عليها كده؟ يعني ليش تعيط عليها؟ البنت يعني حاجزينها في غرفه صغيره ومنها 150 واحد وكاظمينها وده. المهم يا اخوان بدانا نتمشكل احنا والضباط، فهم هنا واحنا هنا جالسين نتصايح وبداوا يدهفونا. فاول ما بداوا يدهفونا بدانا نتعارك احنا وياهم، يعني اخذ وعطى، يعني لكم وده. المهم استدعوا العسكر او الجنود. اول ما استدعوا العسكر بدات توقع رفسه صح داخل الغرفه هذه، لانه عندما سمعوا انه في ضجه بهذه الغرفه، الزنزانه الثانيه بدات تضيق والزنزانه الثالثه بدات تضيق، يعني بدات توقع رفسه صح، فاضطروا انهم يستدعوا جنود ثواني. المهم بعد المعركه هذه ده اجى ضابط اعتقد من الضباط الكبار، خرج الجنود وخرج الضباط وده علشان تهدي الامور، وحاول يهدي الامور وحاول ده. قلنا له احنا الان محتجزين هنا لاي سبب، انتم لا معكم سبب ولا معكم مبرر ولا معكم اثبات ولا معكم دليل ولا معكم اي شيء تحجزونا في هذا الغرفه الزنزانه، يعني باي حق تحجزونا وتعاملونا هذه معامله الزفت. قال لي انتم جايين على اساس تشاركوا في المسيره هذه، واحنا هذه المسيره ممنوعه، فسوف يتم ترحيلكم الى كل واحد يترحل الى بلده. مثلا انا جيت من امريكا يترحل لامريكا، الذي جاء من فرنسا يترحل لفرنسا، الذي جاء من بريطانيا يترحل لبريطانيا. هنا بدا ضجه ثانيه، يقول لك ليش بدكم تمنعونا؟ يعني انتم عرب، انتم مسلمين، ليش بدكم تمنعونا ان احنا نوقف مع غزه؟ يعني قسما بالله العظيم يا اخوان صح ان احنا زعلانين ان احنا ما شاركنا بهذه المسيره، بس اثبتنا لكم يعني كميه يعني كما العرب صهاينه. تخيلوا يا اخوان انهم وصلوا انهم يعتدوا علينا ويسجنونا وينتهكوا حقوقنا بس علشان ما نروح على المسيره هذه نصرة لاخواننا في فلسطين. وعلشان ايش؟ علشان ما يهز امن اسرائيل. والله العظيم يعني مصيبه لوين وصل العرب، يعني وصل العرب انهم يسجنوا ويعذبوا ويتمادوا وينتهكوا حقوق الانسان علشان بس ايش؟ علشان ما تتزعزع امن اسرائيل، مو امن مصر وهذه، لا تصدقوا يا الخرابيط، كله علشان امن اسرائيل. المهم يا اخوان في حاجات سيئه حصلت في زنزانات وفي حاجات حلوه حصلت، ما بذكر لكم الثنتين. كان في ناس من الاوروبيين كانوا يدوخوا، وفي ناس كان يجيهم ضيق، وفي ناس كان يجيهم يعني ضيق تنفس، وفي ناس كان يجيهم هبوط، فكانوا دخول وخروج ودخول وخروج. وتخيلوا لحد الان يعني احنا الان يمكن ما يقارب 18 ساعه داخل الزنزانات محجوزين، لا تلفونات ولا شيء كذا، يعني ما احنا عارفين لا وين احنا الان. اخوان كيف اقول لكم، كل ما كان الامور تضيق والله العظيم كان في ناس يعني المسلمين والغير المسلمين، كل ما كانت تضيق الامور وكل ما كنا نحس ان الدنيا انضاقت كنا نذكر انفسنا باهلنا في غزه. يعني كنا نقول مثلا تخيلوا يا اخوان ان احنا الان بزنزانه ومتضايقين وذا، شوفوا اهلنا في غزه يعني سنتين هم يعانوا معاناه اخس مننا وصابرين وصامدين، فما بالكم احنا يعني 18 ساعه 20 ساعه بالزنزانات هذه ومقومين الدنيا وذا. صح ان احنا بدنا نخرج بدنا نشارك في المسيره وبدنا نروح نكسر معبر رفح وندخل المساعدات لاخواننا في غزه، ولكن خلونا نشوف لوين بنوصل. المهم يا اخوان فجاه جاء القنصل الامريكي، القنصل الاسباني، القنصل الفرنسي، القنصل البلجيكي، القنصل التركي، اخواننا في تركيا كانوا موجودين اتراك كثير، يعني جميع القناصل جاءوا من السفارات. المهم هنا بدات الامور تتيسر وبداوا يزفروا كثير من الناس، ما خلوش احد يدخل، فبداوا يزفروا كثير من الناس، يعني بداوا يسرعوا الامور عندما جاءت السفارات، القنصل تبع السفارات. وطبعا يا اخوان الكل لما عرف اننا يمني اقسم بالله العظيم ان المعامله كان غير، انه كلهم العربي والاوروبي تحيا يمن تحيا يمن، يعني كلهم قسما بالله العظيم. شوفوا يعني هذه رسالتي للشعب اليمني والبلد العظيم اليمن، والله العظيم انكم رفعتم الراس. تخيلوا يا اخوان انه يعني كلنا سوا في الزنزانه، اول ما عرفوا اننا يمني وقسما بالله العظيم والله العظيم ان الكل قام يضرب التحيه، وكل ما جاء اسير جديد والله العظيم كانوا يقولوا له this guy from Yemen، هذا من اليمن، هذا من يدق اسرائيل، هذا من يرسل الفرد الصوتي لاسرائيل. فيعني والله شيء واحد يعتز فيه، والله العظيم واحد يعتز بهذا الشيء. المهم يا اخوان بعد ما اسلم اخونا الايطالي وبدات الامور تهدى وبداوا يزفروا كثير من الناس، وطلعت انا الذي طولوا انا وثلاثه مغربيين من اصل الجنسيه البلجيكيه، واحد جزائري جنسيته فرنسيه، بقينا احنا الخمسه. تخيلوا من اكثر من 1000 شخص بقينا احنا، بقينا احنا الخمسه. المهم احنا الخمسه حسينا انهم بداوا يتمادوا الضباط المصريين، يعني كل ما نحاول مثلا بدنا نخرج الحمام ضروري ندقدق وضروري نتفاهم احنا وياهم، ضروري نتصايح احنا وياهم، بدنا نسوي اتصال ضروري طحن، بدنا كيف اقول لك يعني بدنا نسال يعني لوين وصلنا، ليش احنا متاخرين لهذه الدرجه، يعني هل بتخرجونا هل بتسفرونا. انا قلت يمكن احنا يخرجونا لانه مع باقي الخمسه يقول لك خلاص خليهم يخرجوا، انا فكرت كده. المهم فدخل واحد من الضباط، طبعا يا اخوان انا بنشر لكم الصوره اللي انا واخواني المغربيين كنت لابس هذه الفنيله بوريكم اياها. تخيلوا يا اخوان كنت لابس هذه الفنيله، تمام، هذه كنت طول الوقت لابس هذه الفنيله، تمام. دخل لي ضابط قال انت ليش لابس هذه؟ قلت له ليش ما البسها، يعني وين المشكله ان انا لابسها؟ قال شيل الفنيله. قلت له ما راح اشيلها، ليش اشيلها يعني وين المشكله فيها؟ طبعا قال شيل الفنيله، ما راح اشيل الفنيله، يعني وين المشكله في الفنيله هذه؟ ايش الذي مش عاجبك في الفنيله هذه؟ يعني هل انت تعتز بالعالم الفلسطيني؟ هل انت تعتز في ارض فلسطين مسير رسولنا؟ قال ايه. قلت له خلاص ليش مضايقتك؟ قال لا مو مضايقتي بس شيلها، راح تشيلها. قلت له لا والله ما اشيلها. فهنا بدا قام مسك الفنيله من فوقي كذا ويقول لي شيل الفنيله. هنا بدات اتعارك انا وياه. طبعا اخوان المغربيين جزاهم الله الف خير قاموا فزعوا على طول معي، لانه هو لما بدات اتصايح انا وياه دخلوا يقولون ثواني، فاخوان المغربيين قاموا فزعوا معي وبدا العراك بيننا احنا وياهم مره ثانيه. قلت له اذا بدك اشيل هذه الفنيله روح جيب لي فنيله فيها علم اسرائيل الذي انت تعتز فيها وانت جالس تحميها، بحل هذه الفنيله والبس الفنيله الاسرائيليه، لانه انا امثل فلسطين وانت تمثل اسرائيل، لانك الان قاتل نفسك تمنعنا ان احنا نشارك في هذه المسيره المباركه، وقاتل نفسك انك تمنعنا نشارك نروح نحاول نكسر الحصار ندخل المساعدات لاخواننا في غزه ونشارك في هذه المسيره نصره لاهلنا في غزه. وانا كما تمنيت والله العظيم ان انا تمنيت ان انا اشارك في هذه المسيره، اول حاجه نصره لاهلنا في غزه، وثاني حاجه ان انا امثل بلدي اليمن العظيم وامثل شعبها العظيم، يعني ولي كامل الشرف ان انا امثل هذا الشعب الذي صمد ووقف وثبت من بدايه الحرب الى يومنا هذا مع اخواننا المستضعفين في غزه. هنا يمن الايمان، هنا سند المستضعفين. والله العظيم كنت اتمنى ان انا اشارك بهذه المسيره وامثل بلدي وشعبي اليمن العظيم، لكن الله ما كتب، عادي ما في مشكله. فالمهم يا اخوان نواصل، بدانا الصياح انا وياه على اساس احل الفلينه الفلسطينيه. قلت له ما بدك تحلنا بالضرب انا وانت الان، روح وخلينا نتصل بالسفاره الامريكيه. فجأة وما في فائده، خلاص راح. رجعنا بعد ما راح اخوان بعدها يمكن ب7 أو 8 ساعات اخذوني عمر المنتصر هنا موجود، تعال معانا. لوين؟ خلاص يلا ضايتك بعد ساعه. راحوا قطعوا لي التذكره وقطعوا لي كل شيء. طبعا اول ما قطعوا لي التذكره اعطيني الجواز، قال لا. ليش لا؟ كيف يعني كيف بدك اسافر؟ قال راح نسلمها للامن القومي. يعني كيف بتسلمها للامن القومي؟ قالوا انت جنسيتك امريكيه فضروري ان احنا نرسل ناس معاك علشان يوصلوك الى امريكا ويسلموك للجمارك او للكاستم، لليو اس كاستم، ومن هناك خلاص. قلنا يلا ما في مشكله، يلا يسلمونا. المهم يا اخوان وصلنا، جاوا 2 مرافقين معي، دخلنا الطائره، طبعا جواز معاهم. دخلنا الطائره واحد هنا واحد هنا وانا في الوسط، محسسين الله اعلم منه، محسسين مسكوا ابو عبيده راح يسلمون السلطات. المهم يا اخوان وصلنا الى مطار امريكا، بعدين كانوا يتناوبوا في الطياره، واحد يقوم واحد يجلس، يعني المهم انه واحد جالس جنبه. وصلنا لمطار امريكا، اول ما وصلنا سلموا الجواز، اعطوا لليو اس كاستم الجواز، وده اليو اس كاستم على طول اخذوني تعال معنا الغرفه. اول ما دخلت الغرفه على طول هل مدوا ايديهم عليك؟ هل اذوك؟ هل يعني انتهكوا حقوقك، يعني هل انتهكوا حقوقك الانسانيه؟ هل اطعموك؟ هل اعطوك شراب؟ هل سمحوا لك تستخدم الحمام؟ هل اخذوا منك اغراض؟ سجنوك وذا؟ يعني هل سجنوك وهذه الحاجات؟ فجاوبت على اسئلتهم، وكان زعلان الضابط هذا اليو اس كاستم كان زعلان كثير، فكان يقول باي حق انهم يسجنوك بدون اي دليل بدون اي شيء، انت لا تحمل مخدرات، انت لا تحمل اسلحه، انت لا تحمل في كيف. اليو اس كاستم اتكلم مع الكونسل في جيبوتي، في السفاره الامريكيه في جيبوتي، واليو اس كونسل في جيبوتي الان مسافر الى مصر للقاهره ليبدا التحقيق باي حق سجنوني، وباي حق احتجزوني، وباي حق انتهكوا حقوقي الانسانيه، وباي حق سووا الذي سووه معي، يعني ايش المبرر لديهم. فان شاء الله ان هذه المره تكون ادب لهم، وما يكونوا يتجاوزوا او يعاملوا الناس بهذه الطريقه الوسخه، لانه المعامله الذي عاملونه وعاملوا النساء الذي جاءت من دول اوروبيه ودول مسلمه مثل الاردن وغيرها، انه ما يزيدوا يعاملون معامله كذا، يعني عاملوهم معامله كانهم اكلين حقوقهم. ف والله شيء محزن يا مصر والسيسي والجيش المصري والامن القومي وهذه كلها، ان انتم توقفوا في وجه هذه المسيره المباركه. هذه المسيره المباركه بالنهايه رايحه لكسر الحصار لاخواننا في فلسطين، وانتم تقدروا توقفونا. ليش؟ علشان ما نزعزع امن اسرائيل، هذه الامه العربيه، يعني همكم الوحيد انه امن اسرائيل ما يتزعزع. الخزي والعار عليكم، الخزي والعار عليكم. سود الله وجوهكم عندما تسود وجوه وتبيض وجوه. والله شيء محزن ان احنا نشوف ناس جايين من كل دول العالم، ناس لا مسلمين، لا تربطنا فيهم لا صلاه لا اسلام ولا عروبه ولا شيء، وجايين يعني يناصرون اخواننا في فلسطين، والعرب والمسلمين انفسهم هم من يحاصرنا. والله الخزي والعار عليكم يا امه محمد، الخزي والعار عليكم يا امه الاسلام. والله الخزي والعار.
I want to really apologize to that brother, the Yemeni brother, and the thousands that went to Egypt and were mistreated by the Egyptian security. I apologize on behalf of all the Egyptians and all the Muslims around the world on your mistreatment. This is certainly not a representation of Egypt, but like I said in the beginning of the video, unfortunately, Egypt is under a Zionist occupation. These are known as al-Mustarabin. They are people that pretend to be Arabs, but they are Zionist Arabs. They're Zionists. They're not Muslims. They're non-Muslims, but they're Zionists. They're racists. They're occupiers, and they represent the occupation of Palestine in Egypt. So it's exactly the same. So they do the dirty work on behalf of the Zionist regime. They get orders from Tel Aviv and they execute in Cairo. That's how it is, unfortunately. And I've experienced it firsthand myself, so I can vouch that everything that he said is 100% accurate. It could have been even worse, and I know others and other peace activists that did manage to enter Egypt, and they eventually got into Ismailia, and they were mistreated. They were beaten up. They had their personal properties confiscated from them, their mobiles, their identities, their passports, and yeah, they faced a lot more mistreatment than the ones that were detained at the airport and then deported out of the country. So yeah, those who stayed 2-3 days, a couple more days, and so on, longer, they were also faced, mistreatment by the authorities. And this is just the reality. You have to accept this. If you want to do something like this, there are a better approach to do this. You can't do it publicly. You can't announce it. I could just tell you also firsthand, just like there's bad cops, there's good cops. Some of them are good people as well. So not all of them are actually evil and bad. Some of them are just following orders. They're showing that they're on the side of the regime, but inside, personally, on a personal level, they're not on the side of the regime. So they just play along and stay silent. But if you get to know them on a personal level, like I've met retired officers, active, army personnel, people that are heroes. They fought against terrorists, they were funded by the Zionists anyway, in Sinai, and they survived attacks by terrorist groups, and they told me their personal experience. If you speak to them in a general public, in front of everyone, they'll obviously praise the regime, and they will speak positively about Sisi and so on. But when you meet them on a personal level and you ask them, what's their true personal opinion, they will express their discomfort, and dissatisfaction with the regime, and they will leak out a lot of stuff and information which they can't publicly announce. Um, so I've heard stories and things that give me more evidence that Egypt is run by traitors. They are portraying not only the Egyptians, not only the Palestinians, but they're portraying Allah directly. They are traitors. A lot of the aid that reaches Sinai gets stolen. That's how it is. People try to benefit. I've brought humanitarian aid and I try to deliver it to Palestinians. And many times security would say, "Oh, I like that toy. Oh, I like that for my daughter. I like this for my son. Oh, could I have this, whatever." And I always have to change the spin on something and try to say, well, actually, I'm just delivering it. I'm a family friend to that sister or that brother, and they actually paid me for this item, so I have to give it to them because I've been paid for it, which is obviously not true because I've actually bought these items to deliver it, as a humanitarian aid, but just a way to prevent the security from taking that aid, that humanitarian aid that's supposed to be destined for the Palestinians. Now, of course, some other organizations don't do that. What they do is they give them a percentage, give them a third or something of the aid to the security. So, and for me, in my opinion, they have no right to do that, but that's just the way, the other charities operate. For me, because I'm self-funding most of the stuff, and amongst really good brothers and sisters that have, joined forces with me now, alhamdulillah, and we're trying to do stuff, it has to be 100% donation policy, which means that every single penny has to go to a cause. If that makes sense. So that's how I operate personally. So I have to protect every single penny. It cannot be misspent in the wrong way. It can't be used to bribe security guards. I can't use it for anything else other than spending it on the cause directly. So from hand to hand distribution. That makes sense. Okay. So that's how I personally, do things. Me personally, right? Others they have a different way, different approach. But many, the point I'm trying to say to you is that you can always navigate around. So the guys that wanted to go to Sinai, for example, their approach of them publicly going out and saying they're doing a march and there's thousands of people going and so on, it's not the best approach. It would have been better if they just divided, if they just went into the society as if they're on holiday as tourists and then combined and eventually, gradually, one by one can pass through. You can meet up. You have to get an insider as well from the other side, from the security guards and so on. You have to work with them. You have to find the good people because there are good people amongst the security guards. Not all of them are bad, but generally, what I'm saying to you is that the system itself is a Zionist, pro-Zionist. But amongst them, there are simple Egyptians. They're just doing their job. If you get to the good people, if you start making friends, making connections, then you can pass over. I've gone into the Arish side, like I said. I've gone across certain things. I've entered places where other people couldn't enter, you know, and I had friends that helped me do that, from security guards, heads of security, and so on. But I had to make those connections to be able to go into the next step and then access, injured Palestinians, access hospitals, and so on, residencies, shelters, places like that. I had to make some connections and so on. Of course, if those connections get caught, they could easily lose their jobs. So they are taking a big risk, but they're also looking for some sort of compensation. Some would do it for the sake of Allah, because that's their compensation, is they will do it and they expect the reward from no one other than the Creator. And some would ask you outright, brother, I need something, I need, a payment. So the first time they might let you pass. Second time they might say, well, you know, is there something for the poor Egyptian? They will do it in that way. Or where's my tea? It doesn't mean he wants to drink tea. He mean, where's, when am I going to drink tea? Like, it doesn't say it in that way. It just says, finish share, like fiche, as if is there any tea? Of course, you're not going to be walking around with tea. What he's talking about is money. They just give you these, they have these, ways, lingo. You have to understand the lingo. So when someone says to you, look, you have something for the poor Egyptians, or could I have some tea and that kind of stuff, it means that I want some money. Okay, so that's just the way. But of course, if you pay them, if you don't pay them, then they won't benefit you again. They won't try to help you in other ways again. And if you help them, and if you pay them enough, and you show you're grateful that yes, I know you're not earning enough money. Here's a little bonus. You're a good guy, or here's something for your family. You give them something on the side. They will open you up to their network as well. So they will start to connect you with other good people. that work undercover for the Palestinian cause or try to help in some way or believe in what you're doing. They believe they believe what you're doing is a noble thing, but they will do it. They won't do it for free. They'll expect some sort of payment for it. So that's how it is in Egyptian society. Egypt in general is there's high corruption in Egypt. So yeah, definitely this is what they're used to. Is they get paid to provide, to do things for others or let you jump a queue and that kind of stuff or access certain areas that is beyond access for normal people. Just so they'll give you some sort of guidance. They'll show you the back door basically, to enter places and so on, and they'll give you a lot of information, guidance, do's and don'ts, and how to navigate and who to speak to and who to trust and who not to trust. So they'll give you a lot of information, which I managed to get myself, and this is how I was able to navigate in Egypt successfully. And even when I did get caught, helping Palestinians. I know it sounds strange that they consider support to Palestinians as a form of a crime. It's a criminal offense to support Palestinians and to show solidarity for Palestinians. Something simple as raising Palestinian flag is forbidden in Egypt. It's a crime in Egypt. You get a criminal offense. You got a criminal record for raising a Palestinian flag, for standing and showing solidarity for the Palestinians. You'll get a criminal record. So you have to understand this. You won't get a criminal record, just to make it clear. You will not get a criminal record if you raise the Union Jack or if you raise the flag of the Star of David, for example. I don't want to mention the name of the flag, but you know what I mean, yeah. So if you raise that flag, the blue flag, they'll clap for you. They'll welcome you. They'll say welcome to Egypt. It's not a criminal offense to raise, the blue flag. But if you raise a Palestinian flag, you immediately get arrested, and you will not get arrested by normal police. You will get armed police coming at you and armed vehicles, and they'll surround you. They'll mistreat you. They'll torture you even. They'll accuse you for other crimes. They would make up some trumped up charges for other stuff, and they might even plant narcotics or something with you and accuse you of doing something else other than just raising the Palestinian flag, so they can put you in for life, a life sentence. And I spoke to a sister. She's also a teacher in Egypt, and her colleagues. This was early on in the genocide. Her and her colleagues discovered outside her school, where she works, and they were just holding a Palestinian flag. An army of police came, armed police, and they just took them all. And she went to prison for 4 days. They had to eventually release them because the school that they work in as teachers, they didn't have enough staff, so they had to cancel classes. They probably would have closed down the school because the majority of the teachers were all arrested. So the school, and it was a government school, so they had to kind of work around it and just give them a warning and only keep them in prison for 4 days. So that's the story that was told to me when I spoke to that sister in Egypt. She obviously was scared to even speak to me about this, but she told me that they didn't say anything against the regime. They were just holding the flag. They didn't even say free Palestine. They didn't even get to that level. They were just holding the Palestinian flag, and the cars would just drive past and wave at them, and people would salute them and that kind of stuff. But the police just jumped on them and took them and threatened to do harm to them and so on. But yeah, that's the sort of thing that you would expect. And this is why you probably, for those who've tried to do the march to Gaza, why you didn't see a lot of welcoming or welcome from the Egyptians, the general public, because a lot of them are in fear of being arrested, detained, tortured, electrocuted, or other stuff as well. So a lot of them are in fear, and once they get arrested, they could end up losing their job as well. Their employer would just sack them probably because they'll say, "Oh, this guy's got a criminal record now." They don't understand what's the criminal record. What criminal records did you get? Oh, you was holding a Palestinian flag, or you was wearing a t-shirt and he had the Palestinian flag, or he had Free Palestine on it. It's completely ridiculous in Egypt, all right? But that's just the reality of it. Okay, you just have to understand how the country operates. Um, I'm really sorry about what's going on in Egypt. It's really sad, and it's exactly the same if you went through Jordan. You wouldn't face the same thing in Turkey. Turkey would have been more welcoming. I've been to Turkey several times, and they have regular protests in Turkey. I have also been to Central Asia. I've been to many countries, many European countries, many Middle Eastern countries, North Africa. So I've been to several countries. I know how they are, how they operate. But yeah, Egypt is probably the worst or the second worst in mistreatment. Probably if you put the Zionist entity, the occupied territories, yeah, maybe you will expect the same. I mean, I'm not really sure who's worse, whether it's the occupiers of Palestine, the Zionists in Palestine, or worse than the Egyptians, the Zionist Egyptians. I'm not really sure who's worse. But yeah, they're on par level, the same level, I would think. And the security guards or the officers, they know this. They know their big boss, the biggest boss at the top of the chain, the top of the pyramid, the pharaoh, is a Zionist. So they just have to keep quiet. Otherwise, they'll lose their job. They won't get a promotion. Their family will get affected. So everyone's kind of thinking about, but at the same time, uh, in private, they will try to support. If someone wants to, if they because they believe in the cause, they might turn a blind eye, if that makes sense. They might just look the other way and let you pass through the checkpoint, if that makes sense. So you got to understand how to gauge these things. You can't just just deal with it wholesale. If you approach it at the government level, of course they'll say no. If you go to the head of the Secret Service, of course he will say no. But if you go to the guard at the checkpoint and you have a connection with him at a human level, one to one, and you communicate in the right way, and you actually gauge that, you will find that he's at an individual level, at a human level, he believes in your cause. He believes that people should be able to give aid and support the Palestinians, and he would wish that he could do the same, but he can't. He has to stay silent. He has to do his job. But because he knows that, he might be able to support you. He might be able to turn a blind eye and let you go through and pretend as if he didn't see you. He could do that, but he could only do it for like if it's not in a huge volume of people, at one-to-one level. So I'm just giving you a little bit of hints there how Egypt can operate. Like I said before, Egypt is corrupt, but that could work in your favor if you play your cards right, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've spoken a lot, and I've said a lot of things here. I'm going to continue doing more videos, inshallah, as long as YouTube doesn't keep closing me down. I hope I haven't offended anyone. I'm here trying to deliver a message of peace and love, and also, share that we are all united as people, and we all one family. And I really truly wish the best for everyone. And inshallah, may Allah allow me to attend the march to Gaza at this time. We can mobilize in millions and do it the right way. Perhaps we can make a change, inshallah. But we have to do it, and we have to learn from the experience that you guys have gone through in the March of Gaza, experience that I've gone through as an individual, and other individuals that try to break the siege on a one-to-one level. We can all share our resources, share our ideas, and break the siege on Egypt, on the Egyptians and the Palestinians as a whole. Okay, because Egypt is also under occupation, and we need to break that occupation, inshallah, in a non-violent way. And we need to mobilize the Egyptians. We need to free the Egyptians from the tyrannical rule. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and take care for now. Bye bye.